Hello and welcome back to Thai Talk with Dan. Right guys, today's story is again going to be a little different. So normally we speak about foreign men that get involved with the wrong type of Thai women, normally the creatures of the night here in Thailand. And then in our most recent story, we shared it about a guy who bats for the other side here in Thailand who got with a Thai guy. And it's very similar to the stories that we receive about guys that get with Thai women. Now today, we're going to share a true story from a guy who is apparently straight, and he came over here to Thailand and decided to get with a lady boy.
Oh my God!
So he sends me this. Hello Dan, I have attached my story in a Word document. You can feel free to share names and photos with subscribers. Correct my grammar and sentence structure if necessary. Enjoy your channel. Cheers, and hope you and William are well. So this subscriber is happy to share his real name and real details, and even share you a couple of photos of him and his ladyboy partner. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's see if today's story is different to the rest. Let's begin with today's Thailand story. Hi Dan, thanks for reading my story. My name is Andrew and I've been watching your channel for over a year. It seems that most of your letters are written by viewers who attempt to claim, but my situation is different. So, I'm 56 years old and have been married and divorced 3 times. Due to the advent of online dating sites about 20 years ago, I've been with more women than I can count. I lost track of how many about 10 years ago. At the time I was in my 40s and still slim and handsome. At some point I noticed that many of my dates started to feel like job interviews. Many of the women I met were sizing me up as far as my prospects, successfulness and finances. Financially, I was doing well as a psychotherapist, but I found their line of questions and approach annoying. It seemed at their age they were trying to figure out if I was a high value man or not. My rule of thumb became to never date a woman who had a better car than I did. Ironically, I ended up dating a few very wealthy women, one of which was a millionaire. And it was no fun at all. At first it was nice being flown around the country, trips to Hawaii and being treated to the best hotels and restaurants. But invariably, they would shortly begin to look down at me as a working class stiff. They would inevitably assume the role of alpha and I would be relegated to the role of beta. It later occurred to me that no woman wants a man who is not at least as strong and successful as they are. That includes finances. So much for my recent experience with Western women. For the past year, I have been in a relationship with a ladyboy from Laos. Our relationship has felt authentic and genuine throughout the year, yet I have to admit it has proceeded remarkably similar to all of your other stories. I first visited Thailand in December of 2022. For years I had been obsessed with travel videos showing the nightlife in Bangkok, Pattaya and Phuket. I watched endless videos of Nana Plaza, Walking Street and Bangla Road, but it was the videos of Phi Phi Islands and Krabi that made me determined to go and visit. Then COVID came. For a year I wondered if the travel restrictions would ever be lifted and if the cities would ever be the same. So just as the restrictions and vaccine mandates were being lifted, I impulsively booked a ticket for my first trip. I was travelling from Houston, Texas in the USA, and the total travel time was a grueling 24 hours. My plane landed at 12:05 in the morning of December the 5th. Despite being exhausted, I was giddy with the fact that I had finally made it. I booked an overpriced room at the 4-Point Sheraton on Soi 15. At the hotel, I was too excited to sleep, so I cleaned up, changed and went walking down Sukhumvit Road. I had seen many videos of YouTubers walking from Soi Cowboy to Nana Plaza, past the infamous Ferme Cafe, and I couldn't believe I was walking in the same steps. It was after 2 a.m. and most of the bars were already closed. I resolved not to interact with anyone the first night, but the women and ladyboys were everywhere. On the way back to the hotel around Soi 7, I came across a smiling beauty sitting on a stool on the sidewalk. I stopped to say hi and she asked me if I wanted a massage. She was sitting in front of some sort of luggage shop that doubled as a massage parlour. I felt like I had seen her before in one of the YouTube videos. She said her name was Poi and that she was from Laos. She was 31. After that grueling flight, a massage sounded very nice, so I said sure. I followed her up some dangerous stairs into this dingy looking room with mattresses on the floor. After taking off my shirt and lying on the hard floor, I changed my mind and decided to leave. When I stood up, I was face to face with what I previously thought was a woman. I then realised she was a ladyboy.
Gotcha, bitch!
She said that for 6,000 baht she could come to my hotel and take care of me. That was about double what I'd heard the going rate was, but for some reason I thought, hey, you're in Bangkok, Thailand, why the hell not?
Here's Johnny!
I didn't think to negotiate her down. I usually don't think that way. I felt elated as I walked down the street, arm in arm with this beauty. Once in my room, she disrobed. I was freaked out, to say the least. I felt like Stephen Ray in The Crying Game.
One day soon I'm gonna tell the moon about the crying game.
But she was delightful and sweet, and we just laid on the bed, smiling and hugging.
Seriously, what the fuck are you doing?
I avoided her man parts as much as possible. I couldn't believe I was actually with a ladyboy. I had seen several videos of ladyboys on a channel called Bangkok 112. I was fascinated and disturbed by the fact that I found them so attractive. I intended to maybe meet one on Walking Street and perhaps buy them a drink. But I never thought I'd actually take one back to my hotel room. I had seen other guys casually hooking up with ladyboys, but I thought they must be secretly gay. At the same time, I was mesmerised by several social media personalities such as Serena Thailand, Lydia and Pony Bunny. I thought that they were beautiful, but I was sure that in close proximity it would be very apparent that they were in fact a male.
พี่ว่าบ้านหาใครอะ
หาสายป่าน
สายปานอยู่ไหนอะ
ให้ป่านอยู่ไหนไม่รู้สายป่านเข้าไปในป่า
อ่ะลองเรียกสายปาน
สายป่านไม่รู้อยู่ไหน
เรียกสายปานเลย
Say bang! You die!
สายป่านอยู่ไหนไม่รู้กลัวสายป่านหลงป่า สายป่านอยู่ไหนไม่รู้
สายป่านไปทำอะไรนะ ไปฉี่เปล่า
ไม่รู้สายป่านจะหลงป่า
สายป่าน
กังวลใจกลัวสายป่านหลงป่า
I thought they would look, smell and feel different than an actual woman. I thought that it would be uncomfortable, but to my surprise, it was not. So after a half hour of just looking at each other and smiling, she offered to stay the night. I was very tired, so I declined. I told her that the next day I was interested in exploring the city, visiting temples and religious sites. She offered to be my guide. The next morning I thought about calling Poi, but there were too many places I wanted to visit and women that I wanted to meet. So the second night I went to all of the famous nightlife areas and even hooked up with a few girls. But my experience was disappointing and lackluster, especially at Ferme Cafe, where it seemed the girls weren't interested in Western guys at all. My last stop was Nana Plaza. I found it so noisy and the girls so aggressive that it was a turn off. I went to a bar called Straps, which was reputed to have ladyboys. I saw a drop-dead gorgeous woman on the stage and gestured for her to join me. Before our drinks could come, she had already propositioned me for short time. We hadn't even had a chance to talk. It was way too loud to talk anyway. I think she was a post-op transgender because she denied being a ladyboy. I doubted her for some reason. I was feeling disappointed and had already spent way too much money, so I made an excuse to leave. So I returned to my room after midnight and thought my trip to the end of the rainbow was going to be a bust. I felt very let down. I had burned through nearly 10,000 baht the second night as well and hadn't nearly had the amazing experience that I hoped for. The next day I slept until 3 p.m, still jet lagged from the trip. When I woke up I thought of Poi as she had been my best experience so far. I texted her and asked her to lunch, but she said she wasn't available until dinner. She showed up at my hotel at 7 p.m. looking stunning. A 10 out of 10. We went to a Brazilian steakhouse called El Guacho near Terminal 21. The bill came out to be 7,000 baht for dinner for two. Then we went to a movie starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. She said being from Laos, she had never been to a theatre before. Sitting side by side with Poi and holding her hand, I was happy as a clam. She already felt like my girlfriend. The next few days we went to see the reclining Buddha and other sites in Bangkok. Soon it was time for me to fly to Phuket, and I really didn't want to go without her. They say bringing a girl to Phuket is like bringing your own sand to the beach. But I was already attached. We spent a week in Phuket and it was amazing. We went to Phi Phi Island and Maya Bay. It was just like I had dreamed. The whole trip felt like a dream. Sitting with her on the beach in Patong, I felt saved. Soon I was back in the USA and we video chatted twice a day. During this time she continued to work at the massage shop. I was ambivalent about this. I knew that she gave happy endings and more for a living. I cared a lot about her, but I was able to put this out of my mind. I continued to watch a YouTube channel called Mile Bangkok. The blogger would video his walks down Sukhumvit Road and around the Nana area, occasionally passing by the shop where Poi worked. About once a week on the channel, I would see her just sitting there. A few months later in May, I returned to Bangkok for 1 month. I was fortunate that my employer allowed me to work remotely from Thailand for a few weeks. We returned to Phuket for a week and explored the island again. I even messaged the same cab driver we used in December. He frequently had his 2 kids in the van with him. The last time we took the kids to see the tigers and to McDonald's for lunch. They were happy to see us. But this trip, something was slightly different. Poi had begun to act jealous and possessive, but that was partially my fault. While sitting at a ladyboy bar on Walking Street in Pattaya, Poi was catching up with some of her ladyboy friends who were also from Laos. So I was buying everyone drinks and playing pool with a few of her friends. Somehow I started joking about paying some of her friends for a massage and taking them back to the hotel. Poi had had a few beers and seemed to be going along with the joke. Not knowing if she was serious, I went to the ATM and withdrew 20,000 baht.
What? What the fuck?
I gave it to Poi and she distributed it to 3 of her friends and paid the bar fines. Before I knew it, all 5 of us were heading down Walking Street to our hotel room. At first it was all laughter and playing around. 2 of them took me to the shower and washed me down. I thought that it was just great fun and a story to later laugh about. But after leaving the hotel, Poi started letting me have it. She was angry and accused me of wanting another. She stayed mad for a few days and brought it up several times over the month. And honestly, during the weeks there, I really would notice and check out other girls and ladyboys as we walked through the city, especially on our midnight coffee runs down Sukhumvit to a 24-hour coffee shop on Soi 15. At that time of the night, there were just women everywhere, and she noticed me noticing them. So I have to accept that some of her jealousy was all my fault. So, Poi didn't work the month that I was there. She sat behind me on the sofa on her phone while I saw clients from 9 PM to 6 AM. I started to feel crowded. I wanted to go walking by myself sometimes and get a little space. Before I came back to Bangkok in May, she proposed renting a bigger condo so we wouldn't have to stay in a hotel for 4 weeks. Previously, she had been staying in a small room for 6,000 baht per month. I agreed to pay for a bigger place. It was a very nice luxury condo on Soi 13. I also paid the internet, which I needed to work, and the utilities. It came out to be 16,000 baht per month, around $500. So, Poi and I have stayed in touch since June, and I plan to return in February. I am very attached to Poi, and I feel genuine affection and enthusiasm on our calls, even though her English is limited. She has been building a house in Laos for the past year, to which I have been contributing. She doesn't know it, but I also began talking to other ladyboys on Thai Friendly, even messaging them on the Line app. As much as I care about Poi, part of me wishes I could return to Thailand again as a single man. Okay, why she's different? I honestly don't know that my situation is different when so much of my story is the same as all the other stories. But I do feel like she wants a permanent relationship. Objectively, ladyboys don't age well. From looking at dating sites, it seems that beautiful ladyboys peak at about 35 or so. After looking at 100 profiles, I've never seen an attractive ladyboy over 40. It seems that with age, their masculine traits catch up to them. I think that ladyboys know this and realise that they can only make money with their looks for so long. I've also learned that many ladyboys dream of getting married to a man that loves them and to be just like any other real woman. As far as I know, ladyboys aren't allowed to be married in Thailand or Laos, even though I've heard rumours that this is supposed to change. It is also unlikely that a ladyboy would have children or a husband back in their home village. Ladyboys also are often economically insecure. In the job market, there are many professions that ladyboys are still locked out of. I've seen a few college-educated ladyboys that seem to be doing well, but for those with little to no education, their options are limited, which I believe is why so many of them turn to be creatures of the night. Now, Poi has been doing foot massages for 8 years. She says at some point she was doing well, but not so much recently. The shop she was working at has closed, and now some days she doesn't get any customers at all. She says on the night she doesn't get a customer, she doesn't eat anything. She sends me videos of her feet bruised and swollen from standing all night trying to solicit customers. She says she doesn't like it. Poi embarrassingly told me that she didn't get to study and can't read in Thai or Lao. I noticed that she never read the text on Google Translate, but always listened to them. I can tell that she feels vulnerable and financially insecure. Subjectively, I feel sincerity and enthusiasm coming from Poi. She seems genuinely happy and proud to have me as her boyfriend. After a year, she now calls me her husband. She routinely introduces me to her ladyboy friends and beams with pride. And when I'm with her, I can feel the envy of her friends. Poi has said many times that she wants me to go to her village in Laos and meet her father. Her mother passed away when she was 10. She told me that her sister got a work visa to Thailand and now works at a shop for 200 baht per day. I got to meet her sister a few times along with her niece and nephew. They are adorable. We had pizza and wings at the mall and the kids acted like it was the first proper meal they'd had in weeks. Recently, I have begun to tell Poi that I have seen dozens of videos describing unscrupulous and deceptive Thai women. She protests and swears she's not one of them. I honestly don't know if she is or not, but I don't think so. She told me to stop giving her money as proof, so I did. For 2 months when she went back to Laos, I didn't send her a penny and she barely squeaked. My dream is to be able to get her visas to visit Europe and USA. I'd like to bring her to America and travel around in my SUV, showing her all of the amazing things here, such as the Grand Canyon, national parks and Disney World. But those dreams are unrealistic. Even if I could get her here, what would a ladyboy do in Houston, Texas? She barely knows the language and couldn't work. I'm sure she would be bored senseless. Even though I know all of this, I'm not yet ready to give up and let go. She has brought me a lot of joy and happiness this past year. She remains a bright spot in my sometimes run-of-the-mill, dull life. If it ended tomorrow, I wouldn't regret a single minute or a single dollar. That is how valuable she has been to me. I plan to return next month for the 3rd time and spend another month working from the condo. I suppose I will know more after my next trip. The Swiss psychologist Carl Jung believed that every man has an internalized female he calls the anima. He stated that when we fall in love, we are projecting our internalized anima onto a blank screen that is an ordinary human. In which case we are not seeing the female as she is, we are seeing the goddess that we project, and that's what we fall in love with. And when the projection fades, which it invariably does, we are left with an imperfect but real woman warts and all. Khalil Gibran says in the Prophet, even as love crown you, so shall she crucify you. And if in your fear you seek only love's pleasures, you will pass into a seasonless world, where you will laugh, but not with all of your laughter, and cry, but not with all of your tears. In the medieval play Tristan and Isolde, the governess confronts Tristan for drinking the love potion that did not belong to him. She says, "What have you done? You have drank your death." Then Tristan replies with one of the greatest lines in all literature. He says, "If by my death you mean this agony of love, that is my life. If by my death you mean the death of this body, I accept that. And if by my death you mean eternity in hell, I accept that too." That's what love feels like. For a moment of bliss, we will sell our souls and everything else. Thanks for reading my story. Feel free to share names and photos with the subscribers. Right, thanks for sharing your story on the channel. Guys, I'm happy to share any type of story that is true and factual. And this subscriber really decided to share his true identity and share photos, as he's more than happy with what he is doing. He knows about the script over here in Thailand. He's paying and supporting and helping this ladyboy out, and he's happy with what he's doing. So for once, guys, I am going to stay stum. However, you guys don't need to. So feel free to comment down below about what you think about this subscriber's story. So guys, I think it's only fair to share stories from all different backgrounds. A lot of guys come here looking for women, but let's have it right. A lot of guys come here looking for guys. A lot of guys also end up coming to Thailand as a straight man, but for one reason or another decide to start looking at the ladyboys and getting involved with one of them or several. So I think it's good to share all different types of stories on the channel, and if you're not interested in listening to this type of story as it doesn't relate anything to you, then you don't need to watch it. But if you are one of those guys who are interested in the ladyboys here in Thailand, then it might be something where you can take something away from this story. Now guys, if you've got your own Thailand related story that you wish to share on the channel, then as always, get your email sent in to thaitalkwithdan@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy. Have a lovely weekend from me and William. All the best. Ciao for now, guys. Bye bye.